Hello and welcome to Profs Zone. I am Joe Stauffenberg, a.k.a. the #1 fan of Markel Fultz. To my left is the president of the I Hate Gritty Club, Mark Acitelli.
Proud president
of the I Hate Gritty Club. We got a lot to talk about here on Profs Zone. We'll start off with a little bit of Rowan sports, and then we will also dive into a little bit about Phillies sports, some national stuff. We got some social media and, of course, rapid fire coming up. We're going to start things off, though, with the Rowan women's basketball team. Mark, right now on a 3-game winning streak, what do we expect for the rest of the season for this Profs team?
I mean, you talk about being on a 3-game win streak. One of the things that really stands out to me with this women's basketball team is they have a great mix of leadership as well as youth. I mean, you're talking about the leading goals point getter is Dominique Peters, averaging over 13 points per game. You look at Olivia Roland, she's not far behind, 10-plus points per game. And then the freshman, Grace Marshall, who a surprising starter. You know, she sat the first 2 games of the season, came off the bench, starts, basically the rest of the season so far. She's got 10-plus points per game. She's been big in those conference contests. I mean, a team that's 5-4 overall in the year, 4-1 in the conference. That's the most important thing. The conference schedule, they're really dominating, and that's what you got to do, especially in the NJAC.
I think right now, since there's only, I think, 3 games in the 2018 year that they have at home, I think winning away, they've done a tremendous job of doing. And so, now in 2018, it'll be so much easier for them to not go anywhere. They're staying here in Glassboro. One of the interesting things that I can think of is Dominique Peters. She literally comes off the bench and she is the top points getter for this Profs team. Like you said, Grace Marshall. Another player that we've looked at and said, wow, she's played a really good season. Kaylin Seitzma hasn't put up the most flashy box numbers, but she still makes a huge impact for the team. I
mean, you talk about Kaylin Seitzma, another one of those players that shows leadership. I mean, she's one of the older girls on the team. And I think one thing you're forgetting to mention, I know we talk about this all the time when we call these games, Ayanna Johnson. She averages 9.7 rebounds per game. That's the thing that this Rowan Profs team was missing last season. They couldn't get it done under the glass, bringing those boards down, the second chance points. And Ayanna Johnson, she's been putting those second chance points up constantly throughout the season. I think that she's going to be a big part of the Profs run through the NJAC this season.
And also, I think Jaslyn Duverglass, I talked to Coach after the game. She just is trying to probably get Jaslyn just a little bit more aggressive, and she needs to be more aggressive, especially in the paint area. We're going to stay with Rowan. We're going to go to the men's soccer team, just to recap there. And it was a disappointing season, Mark.
Yeah, it's certainly one of the more disappointing seasons for this Profs team, especially all the hype leading up to it. Last season, 2017, 17-4-1, hosted the NCAA tournament first and second rounds. Unfortunately, they had a really good team last year. Got upset in the first round by Cabrini College in overtime into a Cabrini team that they really should have won. I mean, you look at the stats from that game. Profs had 26 shots compared to Cabrini's 2. Yet Cabrini got one of them to cross the line. That just shows you what a heartbreaking sport soccer is. And, this season, 12-7 overall in the year. They were picked as the preseason favorite to win the NJAC. And they end up 5-4 in the conference, losing in the conference semifinal in the NJAC playoffs to Montclair State in a game that, the scoreline was deceiving. They lost 4-3. They were down 4-1 at one point, though. They scored 2 goals within the last 10 minutes of the game that kind of got them close enough. But still, it just wasn't enough. And, the scary thing about this team is they're losing a lot of seniors. I mean, Ryan Campbell, 18 goals this season. They're losing him. Shane Doherty, another team captain, 6 goals. So they're going to have to replace some scoring next year.
And one of the players that's going to obviously be still on the team is Mo Dussault. On that defensive line, being NJAC Defensive Player of the Year. He's really big. He's a flexible guy that not only can he play the back line, but he can also move forward. We've seen a lot of him in the midfield. Would you be surprised if they push him to forward and maybe to try to get more goals? I mean, the guy can put it in, especially we saw during the year a bicycle kick being put in. Do you think he can play a little bit of forward?
Yeah, I mean, Mo Dussault, the good thing about him is he's such a versatile player. We've seen them use him at the attacking mid-role. He's played at center defensive mid. They've moved Nick Schlager back to center back because Mo Dussault, he's so good, they kind of like to let him roam around the field and be a part of even the offense as well as the defense. I mean, 2-time reigning NJAC Defensive Player of the Year. He also has some goals, like you said, that bicycle kick, but Mo Dussault is just, he's what we call an all-around soccer player. No matter where he is on the field, he can get the job done, except goalie.
I'm sure he could play a little bit of goalie, but I wouldn't.
He's
Yeah,
tall.
very, very tall. Another man that's tall, Joel Embiid, as we're going to Philly sports now. He's really leading this Sixers team, along with Jimmy Butler and Ben Simmons. Right now, the third best team in the conference. Do you see them going anywhere? Do you think that they go a little bit further, go to the second seed, a possible first seed? Also, where do you see them going in the final situation? Because there was a lot of hope for this team going into the finals or into the season, but does Jimmy Butler push them any further?
Well, I think since Jimmy Butler's joined the team, we can all say that Jimmy Butler's been a revelation to the Sixers team. He is something that they were missing, and the thing they were missing is, as Stephen A. likes to say, Jimmy Butler is a dog. Okay, and Jimmy Butler has just brought some swagger to this team that we were missing. I mean, Ben Simmons, he's kind of a quiet player. I mean, yeah, he's a great player on the court. He's a quiet, Then you got Joel Embiid. He's eccentric. He loves to talk, but he kind of jokes around a little bit. But then you get Jimmy Butler. He is straight business. Still likes to have a little bit of fun. But he's been doing great so far with the team. I mean, team third place in the Eastern Conference. 13-1 at the Wells Fargo Center. I think that's going to be the key for the Sixers. They need to find a way to be within those top 4 seeds of the Eastern Conference if they want to get out of the playoffs. Because on the road, only 5-8, really struggling away from home. I still think the Celtics, besides them struggling so far this season, they just seem to be the Sixers' kryptonite. The Celtics just always find a way to beat the Sixers. I think the Raptors have a similar effect on the Sixers as well. So I see the Sixers being a 3 seed. I do see them, if they can get past one of those two teams, getting to the Eastern Conference Finals maybe, and I still think that they lose in the Eastern Conference Finals this year.
I also think that they're going to go far, but again, I really want to say that they are going to make it to the finals. It's just going to be so tough just because Kawhi gets traded and everybody comes back for the Celtics. So, and also the Bucks too. We haven't even mentioned the Bucks, which Giannis is going to dominate for the Bucks night in and night out. But again, I have to agree with you with the home court advantage. They need to get some sort of home court, even though they got a little bit last year. But obviously the Celtics were a higher seed. As I think the headbands also they do magic. So it's going to be an interesting way to the season. Real quick, as we're finishing up, do you think that they move Markelle Fultz this season?
I don't. I think the market's kind of low on him right now, especially with the injury that just came out about him. I think they should move him as quick as possible, but they need to get at least a first-round pick for him. I mean, he was the first overall pick. You got to get something for him. You can't just take a second-rounder.
Absolutely, and a first-rounder was given up by the Chicago Bears and multiple picks to the Raiders for Khalil Mack. As we're going to talk about Super Bowl picks, I kind of hinted towards mine. What's yours?
All right, well, I still got to go with the New Orleans Saints. I mean, the Saints 11-2 overall on the season. Okay, right now they're first in the NFC because of the tiebreaker they hold over the Rams when the Rams came to New Orleans and they beat them. I mean, the Saints beat the Rams at home. So it's going to be really interesting to see where that team goes. And the interesting thing is the Saints are 5-1 at home. If they can get home field advantage and especially solidify that with the number 1 seed, they're going to be tough to beat. The only game that they lost at home so far this season was to the Bucs team, but that was week 1. That was a different New Orleans Saints team. I mean, the team kind of
had Ryan Fitzpatrick
but still,
leading the charge.
You have the Saints.
No, I agree with you, though. That's what I'm saying.
The Saints needed to grow into the teams they are right now, and now we see the schemes they're running. They're definitely one of the best teams in the league, and just everything about them is great. Special teams, offense. The defense has improved. I mean, at the beginning of the season, they were outscoring teams. That's why they were winning. Now, they only gave up 14 points to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers team. That's actually been doing pretty good on offense this year. So I think the Saints are really good, and I have to mention before I go to you, Taysom Hill. I can't get enough of him, man. The Swiss Army knife, offense. He's
blocking a punt.
Oh, my gosh. That game yesterday where he came through untouched and blocked that punt, Taysom Hill is the key to victory, I got to tell you.
And he's a quarterback.
He is.
They drafted him as a quarterback, and using him literally in every single game at just different positions. It's absolutely nuts. But I got 2 words for you.
Oh, Jesus.
Da Bears.
Yep.
The monsters of the Midway are back, and there's nothing that any team can do in the NFL to do about it. I just think that defense, I know everybody's, defense doesn't win championships anymore, but I think this year it could. Especially with Khalil Mack leading things. The secondary, a little bit banged up with Bryce Callahan being out. or will be reevaluated within the next 24 hours, but with a possible ankle injury. I do think that the Bears the Bears defense is really going to step up. Although the offense is strong, I still think that the defense is going to take it home.
Fierce, man. Reminds you of 85. It
Absolutely.
Really does. Shades of 85 over there in Chicago.
So we also have one more topic before we get to social media. Bryce Harper and Manny Machado. Winter meetings today.
Okay.
Oh, it's the most wonderful time of the year. Not just because of the holiday season or Christmas season. It's winter meetings, and these two guys haven't signed. Bryce Harper and Manny Machado. I think that the first player that will sign is Manny Machado. I don't know where he's going to go. I would love to see him on the Phillies just because of the fact he'd be a great fit. I'd also like to see Bryce Harper there as well. I would rather have Harper, but I think Machado is not going to sign with the Phillies. He's going to sign somewhere else, and he's also going to sign first.
You know, I think the reason we're seeing that neither one of these guys have signed yet, because, a lot of people are like, we know the three teams, both of them are basically considering throughout this whole thing. How have you not signed yet? Well, I think they're just waiting out on money, because they know whichever one signs first is going to lose. Because if Harper or Machado signs first, it doesn't matter which one. Just for an example, Manny Machado signs first, Bryce Harper's going to go to whatever team's going to offer him a contract and say, hey, look what Manny Machado got. I know I'm better than Manny Machado, so you're going to pay me what I deserve. So, it kind of, whoever signs first loses the leverage when it comes to getting a big contract. We're talking about like $300, $400 million contracts over 10 years or something like that. So, I think that the Phillies, GM Matt Klentak has come out and he said, he's put it out there. We're willing to spend money this year. And that's what the Phillies are going to do. I think there's a possibility that they do get both. It's slim because you're talking about a lot of money you're committing to two players. Mm-hmm. So it's the chances are slim for them to sign both. But it's out there. He wants to spend money. He's not afraid to spend money. And this Phillies team is craving a star. I mean, so far we have Aaron Nola, our star pitcher, and then Rhys Hoskins. So, Rhys Hoskins comes in, and he was an all-star this past year, did very well in the home run derby, I may add.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, I think out of the two, the Phillies have a better shot at getting Harper because of that Gene Segura trade. Segura, shores up the midfield. You can move Hoskins back into first base because Santana gets traded away to Seattle, and that leaves an opening in the outfield for who else but Bryce Harper. I
think Bryce Harper signs here. And it's just a matter of you're playing with a lot of up-and-coming stars. It's hard because Machado wants to play shortstop for some weird reason, as Gene Segura has played there or is going to play there. But yeah, you move Hoskins over to first base. That opens a lot of doors up for Bryce Harper. And the Phillies are definitely going to spend money to go get him. So we're going to go to social media right now. Mark, you have the first question. It's coming in. When do you think Carter Hart is going to be with the orange and the black?
I got to tell you, look, Carter Hart, he's a young goaltender. Look, it was a great draft pick by the Flyers. I think that this is the most highly touted prospect goaltender-wise the Flyers have drafted in a number of years. He played with the Everett Silvertips in the WHL. He won goaltender of the year in that league. Silvertips also walked away with the league title. He was averaging about 1.5 goals against average out there, which, you look at that, you're like, that's astounding. The Flyers need that type of goaltending, right? But right now, this Flyers team's not built to win. They're just not. You look at the last two games, Buffalo Sabres. Somehow the Flyers come out. Buffalo Sabres have been streaking all season long. 6-2, the Flyers get the victory. Next night, they go to Winnipeg, and they lose 7-1. You put a rookie goaltender in there behind that defense, his confidence is going to get shot because he's just going to continue to get scored on. And, I think same thing we're seeing with Markelle Fultz. He just had all this pressure going in, and he hasn't been able to get the job done yet.
So you don't even think just even bringing up just for a little bit would be helpful maybe?
No, I think it's better just have him sit in the AHL with the Phantoms and wait. But, now we're going to move on to your social media question, Joe.
Okay.
So, dear Joe, how do you feel about the Gene Segura trade? Do you like it?
Oh, I love it. This is the best trade that the Phillies have made probably in a long time. Gene Segura, he's a very, very, very consistent hitter, which I believe that they're going to put him in the 2 spot. Obviously, you have Cesar Hernandez at the first spot, and then at the second spot, Gene Segura. That leaves so many things open now. So now you have the 3rd spot for Rhys Hoskins and then maybe Bryce Harper, but not even just looking at right now what the Phillies have. The trade sent Santana and Crawford to Seattle. So now, again, that opened up the door. Once again, as we already talked about, Hoskins moving over to first base, and then
so excited
more.
for that.
It's gonna be a
where he
good
belongs.
season.
It's where he belongs.
Yeah, looking at the outfield, he's a big guy, but
Yeah.
I think it's just a matter of his tallness going to be over to the first base. Okay, we got rapid fire, real quick.
All right.
Mark, let's start with you. Kendall Jenner was at the Sixers game last week. What are your thoughts? Should she be allowed back at the Wells Fargo Center?
Absolutely not. The Kardashian curse is a real thing. We've seen it with Tristan Thompson. You know, the one game, like I said, Sixers 13-1 at home. The one game she was there, they lost. So Kendall Jenner, absolute no-go. Now, Joe, Mike McCarthy just got fired by the Packers. How about this? Do you think he takes the head coaching job for the Cleveland Browns?
Oh, he's so ready.
Think so?
He's so ready to be the head coach of the Cleveland Browns. He's probably hoping to be pushed out. I mean, look at the up-and-coming stars. Baker Mayfield, especially that
Did you see that throw?
That huge pass to Jarvis Landry right in the end zone. Absolutely incredible. Trust the MVP, Mark. Instead of trusting the process, are you going to trust Joel Embiid as the MVP this year?
I think he's got a real shot. I mean, you can see what he means to this team. He really carries them on the offensive side, brings down a bunch of rebounds on the defensive side, still just as effective as he is on the offensive side. But Joel Embiid, he's an all-star already. I mean, you can't deny that. And yeah, he's going to be big for the Sixers this season and the playoffs coming up as well. I do think he's definitely in the conversation. I think it'll be between him and Giannis by the end of it. And, you know, Joe, rapid-fire question for you, another one. Who's going to win the college football playoff?
Go Irish.
Ooh.
I am going with the Irish. I'm feeling very lucky. It's just a matter of when Alabama, everybody more than likely was going to take Alabama, but when they played Georgia, they didn't play very well, especially that first half. Then they bring back Hurts. I just think that the balanced attack of Notre Dame will definitely get whatever win possible for Notre Dame to get the national championship.
I hope you're right. I can't stand Alabama. I can't.
NFL celebrations. Give me the best celebration by far in the NFL so far. This season.
There's so many, but the one that stands out to me the most, Tyreek Hill going behind the camera. Scored that touchdown, hops into the bleachers, pushes the cameraman out of the way, and just says, "Here, let me get the good shot." And he angles it down, and he got all of his offensive linemen standing there with their hands up, waving. There's nothing better than that. I mean, he got fined for it, but still, I think it was worth the money.
Stay back here. Don't go over there. Don't go over there and try to man the camera. Before we go, I feel like we have to do something real quick. Because the Sixers are rocking
absolutely
the headbands. I feel like we have to rock the headbands. Trusting the process with the headbands. That's going to do it here for Profs Zone. I'm Joe Stauffenberg, and for Mark Etchtelli, saying so long and have a good night.